Hey everybody, what's going on? I got tagged by Salty Shellback to tell what would be my one, if I had any choice, one gun, one go-to gun, uh, above all the rest. I gotta tell you, um, with all the negative publicity on TV, um, how every time one of these shootings happens, everyone just immediately asks the NRA to answer for it, which I think is insane. Um, what would I go for in these changing times? I think if we let the politicians have their say and do what they want to do, and that's always been their specialty, to do what they want to do behind closed doors and little by little strip you of your freedoms, I would probably go for this. That would be, I don't believe every day will be a standoff, so I think um, the capacity of this firearm would be sufficient. Um, I only hope it would be. You know, if I was going into a really dangerous neighborhood, I would probably take this, my 1911. You see, this 1911 would be the only 1911 I would be able to own after they get their way and go for what they're trying to do. For years, they've been trying to take away these, unsuccessfully, but where I live, even carrying a pocket knife, a little pocket knife like this, is a felony. That's amazing, isn't it? And it brings me to a funny story. It's actually something that's true that happened day before yesterday. I went on a job interview. That's right. These aren't guns. Maybe I bring Halloween Barbie. Maybe that would be intimidating enough to scare off a would-be attacker. I was leaving the job interview, broad daylight. I had to park 2 blocks from my car, and I had hurt my leg a few days before, so I was limping. And when I came out of the job interview, which was a complete nightmare, there was some guy standing across the street, and he saw me limping, and he looked at me like a wounded gazelle. He just lit up. He came across the street, crossed 2 blocks, and he was on me in about 7 seconds, right up on me. And I was walking, and as I'm passing the storefronts, I'm always aware of my surroundings. I'm looking in the storefront window to see how close he's getting. I keep changing my position so I don't make myself an easy target and I could actually defend myself. But the thing was, when I was going on the job interview, I knew it was a tough town, but I knew the police there pretty bad too. So I didn't even have this on me. I had nothing. I even had my phone in the car, which there's nothing I could do with that. What am I gonna be like? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wouldn't happen. That's what happens. You get scared into this sense of, don't worry, the police will always be there, and nothing could ever happen. In my town, which is a pretty quiet town, a few weeks back, a woman was almost stabbed to death in Bed Bath and Beyond, with her child. The guy stabbed her 12 times, repeatedly. You can't go under this false assumption that everything's always going to be okay and nothing like this is ever going to happen. Now, I'm almost 300 pounds. I'm not a soft touch, and I was actually shocked. I was being stalked is what was happening, and I was heading to my car, and the way it worked out was every time he was going to make his move, someone either came out of a storefront or was walking in my direction, so he couldn't get away with what he was attempting to do. And when I finally got to within 10 feet of my car, I said to myself, "This is it. Let's just do it. Bring it." I turned around. I looked at him. He looked me straight, dead in the eyes. But a little smile came on his face, like, "Okay, not this time." And he kept walking. I haven't felt that way in so long, and I felt the feeling of absolutely being defenseless in a situation where I couldn't control it. It was happening. It wasn't TV. It wasn't something you see on the news. It was happening to me, which I never thought would happen. So, what would be my go-to firearm? Well, in reality, it would actually be a firearm, and it would be a revolver. I just find them to be functional. I mean, they're a little big, a little bulky, but I like them better than the polymer platforms. There's nothing to say wrong about the polymer platforms. It's just they're just not for me. They're rock solid, dependable, accurate. You pull the trigger, they always go bang. So I think that's what I could take away from it. We can't carry here in New Jersey. You're not allowed to carry. You're not allowed to defend yourself, which makes you the sheep. And at that moment and that time, for me, it was bah, because I listened to him. I wouldn't even take this with me or this with me. I didn't even have Halloween Barbie to protect me. So it's something to think about. Or my paper 1911. It's something to think about, you know. There's so many times in your life you're completely defenseless. I mean, I had no intention of rolling over. I'm throwing down. That's just the way I am. I'm throwing down. I don't care. If you're gonna kill me, go ahead. Better men have tried. But I was in such a good mood going for the job interview to having the job interview go sour, and then coming outside, I'm gonna get mugged. And the amazing thing is, I only had $3 in my pocket, and I wasn't going to give him my $3. He's gonna have to fight me for that $3. And as mad as I've been lately, I don't think I'd wish that on anybody. So I wanted to do a response video to it and get your take on it, because this is all that's going to be left if we let them do what they want to do and take away our guns and take away our freedom. And that's it. There's nothing else to it. Now is the time where you speak to your legislative officials, your elected officials, and let them know what you think. I don't think the assault ban did anything at all. And I think it's utter nonsense. And the propaganda machine spinning and spinning and spinning to try and blow it completely out of proportion and move on their agendas, which they were working on for years. When that shooting happened, Dianne Feinstein came right out and said, "Oh, I've been working on this for a year and a half." They've been poised, waiting for something to happen to reinstate this bogus pack of laws. I mean, I remember I had things, and then all of a sudden, I woke up one day and I'm a felon, because I own something, and I've never bothered anyone, never hurt anybody. And it just, they started doing something else now. They go to the Hall of Records. It's not like the Hall of Justice. They go to the Hall of Records, and the newspaper prints in the newspaper that you own guns and your home address. Now, I don't know. When I heard about them doing this, I said to myself, you really don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out you're going to tell the criminals where the guns are, because they can't get them at Walmart because Walmart won't sell them to them. As the common man is bamboozled into believing that you can just walk into Walmart and walk out with an AK-47, it doesn't go down that way. You actually have to have an ID card, show identification. The background checks, they do them here, but the thing is, the criminals, they're not jumping through the hoops that we are. They're just going and getting them. So what happened was the criminals looked in the newspaper. Guy had a gun safe, had quite a few guns, and they home invaded his home to try and get to that gun safe. Whether they were successful or not, I have no idea. I didn't follow the news that much, but like I said, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure something like that out. That you're a legitimate gun owner, and one day, if Tommy Two-Tone says that, these are illegal, this could have been passed down from my grandfather or my grandfather's grandfather, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, just because I own it, I'm a felon. I have to immediately turn it in, for the better good of society. So that's my video on it, and it is my go-to revolver. This is the one that sits right by my bed. There's Nothing in here. See, nothing. My go-to revolver is always a revolver. It's what I feel more comfortable with. In a panic situation, I don't have to fumble all the propaganda on there and the safeties and everything. I just know every time I pull that trigger it's going to work and it's going to go bang. So that's my video. Nice gun, isn't it? Sucker's like 40 years old or something. Still looks good. I have a tough time with the polymer guns because I feel like they won't be around 40 years from now. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Later, guys.